Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I have recently started to reorganize my craft corner again and decided I need another way to store some of my die cuts. Since I started watching Treasure Book's videos, if you have not seen them, please go check out her channel. They are a huge source of inspiration. So I was watching them and I wanted to try out her accordion envelope folder. This video is in no way meant to be a tutorial. I will link her video in the description box down below for that purpose. But if you want to follow along as I try to make this, please do. I warn you though that I am much slower and clumsier than she is, and my work is not nearly as perfect. But in general, I was really pleased with the end result and might actually do a few more of these. Even some smaller versions to send to pen pals. So, to start with, you need a bunch of envelopes. I wanted to go the easy way, so that meant 6 envelopes, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to use these envelopes you see in the video. I got quite a lot of them at a second-hand shop, and I realized too late that they are a little bit too small for the types of letters and things I send out to my pen pals. So they'd just been standing in my stash for all these years. And since I have quite a lot of these, this was a great way for me to use them. Once you have the envelopes of your choice, you need some paper that will be the spine of your book. I chose craft paper since I have quite a lot of it and it was quite sturdy. At first, I tried to use the scoring board to try and make perfect scores, and I failed miserably. So then I just used Natasa's technique to create perfect folds for the 6 envelopes. I think I screwed up somewhere in the middle. My spine did not turn out super perfect, but it was good enough. After I made the spine, I wanted to find some cardboard to make the covers, and luckily I still had some old backing of notebooks that I had not used, and once again, this was the perfect opportunity to just use them. I tried to randomly decide what size these covers would be according to the size of the envelopes. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is really not a tutorial, and this is why. I don't really like working with precise measurements, and I just eyeball most of the things I do, and then I just hope for the best. And if it doesn't work out, well, it's no big problem, since at least this creation is gonna be for my personal use. It was also a little bit harder to measure here, and you can see me going back and forth, and that's because I noticed that this piece of cardboard was not straight. So I couldn't really use the edge of it as a guideline, since you can see even in this footage that it is a little bit crooked. That's why I went back and forth with all these attempts to measure it. And once I had one done, I just cut it off and used it to measure the other piece. Since I didn't really like the look of these envelopes, I really had to try and decorate them before gluing them to the spine. Considering the majority of things I own are really old books and old book pages, I went for a vintage look. So I started to experiment on one envelope and cut a part of this old book page. I had already used half of it on another project and thought that this image would look good on the flap of the envelope. Then obviously I also needed some decoration for the front body of the envelope. So I grabbed another book page. I had to be a little creative here and try to figure out how I could draw the limits of the envelope without destroying it. I thought it would be smart to try and mark it by rubbing the pencil alongside the edge. And it kinda worked. Once I had this one piece created, it would be much easier to use it as a template for all the others. I honestly try not to spend too much time choosing the papers for this part. As I mentioned before, I have way too many old book pages and I was all too happy to be using them. I tried to have a little bit of variety, but not much. Again, for me, creating this project was a trial run and something for my own personal use, so it didn't really matter if it was perfect or not. Once all the pieces were cut, it was time to glue them all. I think in total this project took me about a week to complete. I worked on this during a few hours last weekend and then did some random bits here and there during the weekdays. Mostly after work or after dinner if I had the energy or time. I think it's quite easy to see the passage of time in my recordings, either by the slight change in the camera angle or the states of my nails. How are you all doing? I've been trying to get ready for the arrival of my baby, although I'm not sure I will ever feel ready. I've also started watching some Korean shows again. I usually go through phases of watching them and then stopping, and I sometimes feel like I need something relaxing and cute to watch. But regarding all these TV shows on Netflix and other subscription channels, I have the feeling that I already watched everything that was interesting for me. And that makes it really hard to choose a new show. And while sometimes I just need something that I can binge watch with my full focus on it, like a Korean show would be perfect for that, other times I just want something I can put on and that I can listen to without really paying attention, so just for the company. For this latter type of show, so just for the company, I actually started to watch Gilmore Girls. I know that I watched parts of it when I was younger and I really enjoyed it, but I never really watched all of it. And after watching all available episodes of NCIS on Netflix, I thought it would be a good idea to finally see all of Gilmore Girls. And I think this is the perfect show to keep on as company. There's not a super deep plot in the story, and I can just put it on and do other things. I can clean around the house or I can craft while Gilmore Girls is on. Then I felt like I needed a little bit more romantic type of show. So I decided to try and watch Miss Day and Night, and I quite liked it. I quite enjoy these romantic Korean shows with some crime in the middle, and once I finished that one, I decided to go for another Korean show called Daily Dose of Sunshine. I cannot say that it's a super romantic one, or at least is not really focused on the romantic part. It was more related to mental health issues and the life of a nurse in a psychiatric ward. But I really liked it, and I actually finished it yesterday. So now I'm at the point where I'm not sure what to watch anymore. I think I will try to finish a Korean show I started a while ago called Doom at Your Service, and I might later on also try to finish the Atypical Family that I've also started. Do you guys have any recommendations of good shows to watch? They can be Korean shows, English shows, something to binge watch or to just put it on play while you do something else. Could be anime. Just let me know if you know of anything that could be interesting. So once this part of the envelope was done, I chose a few more papers to put on the lids. I tried to add a little bit more variety here, though once again, I really tried not to think too hard on things. I can say the only requirement I had in my head was that the paper should not be too thick as to be too heavy on the envelope, and I really wanted to keep on using my stash and things that I hadn't thought about using before. I also tried to make it in a way that the lid would not be the same as the envelope body, so if the envelope body itself would have a picture, the lid might have just writings or the music sheet, but if the envelope itself was a normal book page, then the lid should be some type of drawing, music sheet, or anything of the sort. I really had a lot of fun making this project, and I think it's quite refreshing coming back from, let's call it a year and a half of feeling that I didn't have any creative inspiration, and it was kind of a hassle to sit down and try to create something, to this point where I'm quite excited about having these projects and creating these new things. I've found artists online that I can take inspiration from. In this case, the channel Treasure Books is one of them, and I already have some ideas of what to make next based on her content, because I just think that it's really good. Even if her focus is more on junk journaling, I think that a lot of the things that she shows, or most of them, could actually be used for pen paling. So I'm quite happy to have this, let's call it creative mojo back. And I don't know if any of you is struggling with the lack of motivation to create. You might just be dealing with things in your own life, or you're too tired after a long day of work. I can tell you that what helped me was starting to focusing on watching content, mainly YouTube videos that could inspire me, whether it was pen pal opening letters, junk journal creations, bullet journal creations, reading journals, anything that would kind of spark inspiration and make me feel excited about trying to do these things on my own again. And then I started small. I have a bullet journal that has worked as a bullet journal where I plan some parts of my day, but it kind of transformed more into a place where I could come, maybe not every day, but at least a few times a week, to make collages or anything that I felt like, and then just write a little bit about my day and how things were going. And I noticed that these little moments where I would spend making these collages or decoration for this journal were quite nice, and they were short enough that I would not get too tired of it. But yeah, in general, I do think that you might need to fight a little to get the inspiration back and not just rely that it will automatically come. So surround yourself with things that would promote that. And start with something small. Maybe a few minutes every day, or a few minutes here and there, with no pressure. Just sit down and try to make something that will make you happy. even if it feels like you're stuck in the beginning. Trust me that the more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna feel and the longer you will be able to do it. Coming back to the project, you can see that I've been using Distress ink. I was once again inspired by Natasa from Treasure Books to use some of my oxide inks to increase the vintage look of these envelopes. I did some test runs on a piece of scrap paper before deciding to go with this walnut stain. And then I spent some time staining all around the envelopes. I decided to keep the back part of the envelope as it were, since I was quite okay with this stripped look, and that part of the envelopes is not really gonna be shown too much, so I did not really want to spend any time changing it or decorating it. Once all the envelopes were done, I glued them to the spine of the folder, creating a type of accordion effect. I decided to add some extra glue on top of the double-sided tape to make sure that this would hold on as long as possible. Finally, it was time to take care of the front and back covers. I had initially thought to have a wintry green cover, but realized that it would not really suit the direction I took with the envelopes. So instead I used about half of this paper that was sent by one of my pen pals. I really wanted to keep the title page that had this little illustration and the title of the story as the first cover, and then just one of the pages without illustrations as the back side. To glue this, I used bookbinding glue, but I'm pretty sure any other type of glue would work as well. And I used a really old and cheap brush to try to spread the glue as evenly as possible. There was a time, maybe about a year ago, where I thought of making some notebooks, some junk journals, or actually even trying to restore some of the old books we have in our collection. So I did try to spend some time getting a hold of the materials I needed to do this. I did manage to find this bookbinding glue in a shop here in Sweden, but since I couldn't find any of the other things in physical shops here, I did not really advance much into this hobby. Also, I know that it would require quite some precision, and most of the times I just wanna have fun. Crafting, creating or recreating things without paying much attention to the little details or being too perfectionist. And this is quite something strange for me to say, because I do like things to be good. And there was a time where I needed things to be perfect and not make mistakes, and I would feel so guilty whenever I would make a mistake. To be honest, for me, making a mistake was a synonym of failure. Something to be ashamed of. It was like making a mistake would change things forever, like there was no solution, no way of fixing it. Like it was something that would permanently stick with you. But over the years, with some experience and some excellent role models, I realized that I was wrong, and that was not a good way to live. It also comes down to when I start publishing things online, when I created my Instagram account for pen paling or making drawings, and later on when I started this YouTube channel. I was so afraid of posting things, so afraid of posting the wrong type of things or making projects that looked ugly or that I didn't think they were perfect, but the more I do this and the more I post, the more comfortable I'm feeling with posting things that will not work out or that are not as aesthetically pleasing. So I think this whole YouTube channel and even pen paling has helped me overcome this sense that everything I do has to be perfect. It really doesn't. And I am always more than happy to discover accounts or small YouTube channels that are showing these types of contents. So pen paling or crafting, and they're smaller channels, not super aesthetically pleasing. I kind of like them. So if you know any small channel that could use another subscriber and has some inspirational videos or very cute things that I could look at and feel inspired, just, let me know. Now this folder is almost done. I just needed to find some paper for the inner part of the covers to help secure the spine of the book. And I've had these vintage looking papers for quite a lot of years as well, although they were made of a little bit of a thicker paper than what I wanted. Once again, I thought it would be good to use them. I was actually really happy to be able to use so much of my stash here, even though it did end up creating smaller pieces of paper that I will now have to find a use for, since I'm apparently incapable of throwing them away. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, and one of the reasons why I decided to create this project was that I am trying to reorganize my little closet crafting room area to make some space for the baby. And I'm also trying to find good solutions on how to keep my things in a place where I can see them. Because apparently if I don't see something, I forget it exists and then I will not use it, and that's not something I want to do. And I will also probably try to see what could be included in a potential giveaway whenever this channel reaches 100 subscribers, which would be quite exciting. And what I mean by currently trying to organize is that I am making a lot of breaks to film this project. Then I've received a subscription box, which will probably be the next video. I have a few pen pals that I need to write to, so I will also be recording those. It's a long process, and I'm not using very good equipment for filming. I'm basically using my phone, and the memory keeps on being full and the battery keeps on draining. So this whole filming, this reorganization is taking quite a long time. I just hope to be able to finish before the baby decides to arrive. And on top of all of this, I'm also planning to make a video or a few videos about the status of the YouTube channel, why I started, what are my goals, how's it been going, like how is the channel growing, because honestly speaking, I love seeing those videos. And we usually see them when the creators have been able to be monetized or have a certain growth. Mine is nowhere close to it, and I just think that I would love to see other small channels growth type and what are they doing about it, if they're doing anything about it. I just think that it is super interesting content to have. It will be a little bit outside of the scope of pen paling, but I think it will be fun. And this was it. Here you can see the final product. I forgot to film this after I finished it, and this folder is now already full of die cuts, that's why it's a little bit more chunky. And while filling this folder, I also realized that I did needed to include more envelopes. But, you know, maybe I'll just make another one of these with a different theme this time. Or maybe I'll just try another of the many projects you can find in the Treasure Books YouTube channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have and want to see more things from me, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I wish you all a good day. Bye!